Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTube. Oh, Lord have mercy on us. I wish that I had. Let me see if I can bump this up a little bit. Okay, Matt feels a little bit better. Hi, Yoga Joe guy. Oh my goodness, you guys, I almost didn't come on. I am just going through. I don't know if you guys are feeling. Anyway, let me first just say welcome to Untangled. We're on episode 115. Thank you for being here. Untangled is my YouTube series that I do typically every Tuesday, but it's been shifting around since I've been in Kenya. And it's my YouTube series where I just talk about the evolution in human consciousness. I talk about what we are navigating, the very real, humble, grounded, ungrounded, fun, unfun experiences of just being here right now, being soul and God in human form, navigating this incredible. Thank you, Mary Jo. I'll see you soon. Just the breaking down and breaking through these moments on the planet and not being ashamed of it, not being quiet, just coming together and just talking about what it's like to do this. Not from a perspective of I've already gone through it because nobody's gone through this. Nobody. Not talking about it from an expert opinion, not talking about it from I've got my shit together opinion, just talking about this evolution from a very grounded, boots on the ground type of perspective. And anyway, I appreciate you all being here. Today's been a really ungrounded day for me. Yesterday, I was much more grounded. So bear with me as I just sort of talk about whatever wants to come through today for all of us. Um, I am currently in Nairobi. I've been here for 24 days, um, going through different sort of chapters of this experience, and really having a huge amount of transformation and breakdowns and breakthroughs. And I feel like I don't know about you guys right now, but I feel like I've literally lived, like 20 years in the last 24 days. One of the most profound parts about being on this journey of evolving into higher states of consciousness, and at this point in the game, I don't even know why we call it higher states of consciousness because um, God, did I have a dream or was I talking to you guys about how oh my gosh, every moment is kind of just merging right now. I'm just gonna talk and just see what comes through, like we're having a conversation. Thank you so much, Anika, for the super chat, and Thor Gory, the Gory for the super chat. I appreciate that. Um, I'm just gonna talk like we're just hanging out having coffee, but I don't know who I was sharing this with, if it was just in my dream, but I remember it happening that this journey that we're on right now, it doesn't matter whether you try to sort of like bring yourself into some like 5D dimension or 4D field or like, we want to like get somewhere or or like you elevate the body or expand the body or bring the body into some like magical higher frequency, and we're really trying to do that. And um, what's so interesting about all of that is that no matter what we're trying to do, like where we want to get to, oh, I want to get to a higher vibe, or I want to get to this 5D state, or oh, I want to ascend, or whatever these ideas are, right? Or I just want to get out of this suffering. No matter what we do, no matter where we try to go to, this overarching awareness or knowingness of God is always here. And I think that's one of the things that has been so humbling to me on this trip I've been on is like, it doesn't matter let's say, for instance, you're in LA and your house burned, right? Horrific. Or you're on some magical vacation in Tahiti. Awesome. Or you're about to have a baby, or you're going through a divorce. Like, that's all just being part of the human experience, right? N- it, you're not any less close to who you are. You're not any farther from God or any closer to God. Raising your vibration doesn't get you closer to God. Going through a devastation doesn't necessarily get you closer to God, and closer to God being all that you are, the truest expression of you. One of the biggest traps I at least have found myself in is this idea that there's a like something I'm going through in order to reach somewhere else. I need to get out of this so that I can be here. I need to figure this out so that I can be here. I need to go into deeper awareness so that I can get out of suffering. I need to find myself in more of a flow state so I can get out of attachment. Blah blah blah. And I understand it all because humanity is in a massive amount of suffering. So I understand the logistics of it. I understand that there is a reason for it all. We need tools and we need to learn all these things and we need to understand the mind and we need to, I get all that. But even beyond that, okay, take away that for a moment. And in every single moment, no matter what you're in, no matter how disconnected, ungrounded, aligned, joyful, positive you are, you're not any further from God. Whatever your God is, whether it's just everything, whether it's awareness, consciousness, source, universe, spirit, you've never been any less connected to it. So we put all these parameters around what we're doing here and where we need to go. And like, oh, if I just raise my vibration, I'll be in a new earth. There is no new earth. There is no like that. It's all just one big game we're in. And the what's it called where you get like a clue, right? Um, the cliff note or I can't think of the word right now, but um, what's it called where you're like, it's the word I'm thinking. It doesn't matter, but the hidden kind of gem behind it all is that you started as God, you are God, you end as God. And so the joke here in this human experience is to recognize even in the midst of unraveling everything, right? Stepping deeper into flow, understanding the thoughts, getting out of addictive behavior, watching all your core, core traumas peel back again and again, healing relationships, letting all of that is just part of the game, right? And I'm not talking about a matrix. I'm not talking about that we're in some sort of you know, vortex of a matrix. I'm just talking about the fact that being human requires us to do and be in certain ways. We have lack and we have abundance. We have joy and we have pain. We have love and we have heartbreak, fear, peace, right? It's all just part of this game. And no matter where you are in the game, God is always right there. God's always there. And again, I'm just using the term God as an overarching awareness of this effervescent presence that we are um, all running to or running from. The whole point of this game is to recognize who we have always been. Yes, there is an evolution in human consciousness. Yes, there is this energetic shift. Yes, there are these different dimensional fields that we're moving through. Yes, our body is starting to vibrate into higher frequencies, but we're not actually in charge of any of it. And trying to be in charge of it and figure it out and pay all this money so that you can move into some new earth because somebody's telling you that you need to do this, and then you'll get there. That's all part of the game. That's all the cosmic joke because everything's happening quite naturally. You're not in charge of it. right? So the fastest way through this human evolution is to realize that no matter what, God's always right there as you, as a deep reflection of you. And there's so many different ways that we can begin to recognize that, or we can get caught up in the disconnection of that. And it's pretty profound to me just how detail oriented the human journey is. How detail oriented is. I mean, there's rules for everything. There's programs for everything. There are thoughts for everything. There's massive amounts of emotions to feel for everything. There's all kinds of different behaviors. And thank you, Joy, for that super chat. And although it's all very important to be in, because the human journey is one of the greatest experiences you as a consciousness will ever have. Another thing that's really stamped into my experience the last 3 weeks is just how up and down how up and down in every hour this human experience is designed to be. And I keep having this analogy of being on a roller coaster and continuing to just put my hands in the air. There's like, how they have those safety bars, and so you don't fall out of the roller coaster? So the safety bar in the human experience is all the emotions and the thoughts and the behaviors and the programs and the laws and the rules and all of that's the safety bar. It's designed to keep you in this game, and it's a beautiful thing, right? All the ways in which we're trying to fix ourselves and stop certain thoughts and do all the stuff. Heal, all that amazing stuff is the safety bar. It's necessary. But what's also necessary is that we put our hands up in the air and say, I'm just here for this ride. Why do I have to try to perfect everything? Why am I always trying to get to some sort of state of being, or, taking all of the, like, I'm just throwing out different examples, but, always trying to find myself in really blissful states, or running from everything that I'm always finding myself in, or, finding myself stuck in thoughts and behaviors, and beating myself up over it, or whatever else it is that we're doing, making myself wrong because of this, or the anxious thoughts. My God, my anxiety has been off the charts today. I don't have anxiety. I rarely have anxiety, and it has been off the charts today. So I'm recognizing, like, wow, okay, there's this anxiousness happening right now. And there are this lens of, I don't have any idea what's coming next. I don't know what's coming in an hour. I don't know what's coming in 3 hours. I don't know what's coming tomorrow. I don't know what's coming next week or the week after. And the more that I am doing that, I've practiced this for quite some time, and there is just deeper and deeper levels of that sort of letting go, throwing up my hands, moving into like a flow state without trying to. You can't actually bring yourself into flow. Flow just happens. And if you're lucky enough, like myself and other people right now, you're being pummeled into, you don't have control, my friends. You gotta let go. But how do you let go when you're on a ride that requires you to hold on in order for you to feel safe? We're on a planet that has programmed us to grab that security bar and just hold tight. Like, if I let go, the illusion is that I'm going to fall off of this roller coaster, but that's irrational. The illusion is that if you let go of really trying to get yourself there, or get yourself here, or do this or do that, or heal your body, or raise your vibration, or all these different things, right? If you let go of that, then what happens? What's the fear that you have if you actually just stop doing all the things you're doing right now to try to get yourself somewhere? to try to make yourself feel safe, what would happen? What's the illusion you hold? Because there's an illusion, otherwise you wouldn't be gripping the handlebar, right? I mean, that is the human nature of all of this, is to keep I gotta keep hold of that handlebar so that at least I can feel as if I'm keeping myself safe. It's like, no, my friend, you gotta let go of that handlebar and realize that you are safe to feel out of control, because that's the only true expression on this planet as an energy moving through energy, is that you're not in control and it is chaotic. You do not know what you're going to feel in 1 hour. You do not know where your relationship's going to go in 3 days. You don't know how this person's going to respond. You don't know what your child's gonna do in 2 months, or your husband or wife's gonna do in 6 months, or where your job's gonna land you in a year. You don't. And the whole reason we suffer is because we're gripping that bar. And we're gripping it so tight because it makes us feel safe. So we try to figure everything out. And I get it. There's nothing wrong. I mean, 99% of us, when we get on the roller coaster, right? We grip especially as you're about to crest over. How many of us have the balls to be like, all right, let's go, right? Because you feel like you're going to fall off the roller coaster. 99% of us hold that freaking security bar like it's freaking going to break. I get it. So we try to stay in a controlled state. We try to understand things. We try to control other people and the situation. And then when we find ourselves not able to control it, then we start having all the anxiety and the stress, and we start searching for all these different people to save us, to help us. And that's where God comes in. Again, God being what created everything, who you are, who I am, and the coming home, what everyone is searching for. It can be any name you want. All the different religions have different names for it. It's still the same essence. And no matter what we're going through, no matter how badly we want to grip it, God's just like, yo, I am right here. I actually gotcha. Okay, not an actual person standing there, so don't be too specific. I'm just trying to use an analogy of a conversation. If God could speak, what God would say, you know? Stop beating yourself up. You got to let go. I've got so much in store for you. But the planet doesn't run that way right now. The planet runs the opposite. The planet runs on massive control. Right? And so we have to at least bring awareness to the way in which we are really, really wanting to stay in control, and how we really don't know how to let go. We don't know how to lift our head. It's like, have you ever been on the roller coaster, right? And I mean, I grew up in LA, and I went to Disneyland all the time. Oh my gosh, I grew up in Disneyland and Magic Mountain and Knott's Berry Farm. I don't know if Knott's Berry Farm is still around. Anyway, those 3 amusement parks, my girlfriends and I went to a bazillion times. And the amount of times I can recall being on the roller coaster and really wanting to put up my hands when we went up the big, you know, Colossal? What was the ride at Magic Mountain? Colossal? And, I mean, a raggedy wooden roller coaster. And it takes everything to let go of that grip, because your natural state is holding, it's restrictive, it's tight, right? And we will argue and fight to hold on to it. There is nothing wrong with being in control. There's nothing wrong with wanting to stay in control. There's nothing wrong in having a life that you've planned, okay, or figuring out how you're going to get through this and get through that. I do it. We all do it. It's called the human experience. It's called the human journey. But I can tell you right now that what many of us are going to start experiencing more and more is more of our natural state, which is holy, holies. Um, I don't have any control. And then if I don't have any control, I become so vulnerable to the world that I start asking for help. And that's when life becomes miraculous. Miracles can't happen for you or for me when we're in control. It's not a miracle. You don't actually create miracles, you create manifestations. God creates miracles, whatever God is to you. It's in the unknown where the miracles happen. A miracle never happens because you create it. It's impossible. It's why it's called a miracle. And 2025 is, thank you, Steve. Um, Still holding on to life. Heck yeah. Still holding on. And what a gift to be able to just say, yo, I'm not letting go of that handlebar. Good luck, Lori. You let go. I'm holding tight. Heck yeah, you are. Imagine we're all on the roller coaster, right? And I'm looking over at Steve and he's like, fuck, just holding tight. And I'm like, yeah, no one's right and no one's wrong. It's just, I'm on this ride today. I'm holding tight, girl. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I'm in for it. I'm going, you know? So there isn't a right way to do this or a wrong way, or you should be doing it like this. You should, but I'll tell you what it isn't. It's not about raising your vibration to some state so you reach some sort of high vibe place and you're no longer in this earth, you're on some other earth, and you know, unconscious people aren't with you anymore. And that whole thing that people get caught in the awakening movement. It doesn't matter when you actually realize you're just on a freaking roller coaster called life. Stop, dividing through labels. And people even use these terms that they're just so not good, they're not nice. It's everyone's on the ride, everyone's on the roller coaster. There's not one human on this planet that is not on the same roller coaster as you. So it's like you're turning back and maybe somebody's looking down and doing something and they're not even aware they're on the roller coaster, and you're looking back on the roller coaster and going, "You're such an idiot. You're so unconscious. You're so stupid. How do you not see you're on the roller coaster?" It's like, dude, just chill. Everyone's on the roller coaster. We're all doing the best we mother freaking can. Okay? Some of us are loving it. Most of us are trying to survive. And a handful of us scattered throughout is looking around in this like Buddha state, like, wow, this is incredible. And all of those states, no matter how you're being on the roller coaster, is still God. God isn't any closer to the unconscious than the conscious. God isn't any closer to the alcoholic or the drug addict or the prostitute. God isn't any closer to the enlightened one or the one that goes to church or the one that prays or the one that God isn't any closer to any of those. It's all equal. It's all right here, right now, in the same amount. And it's like, I forgot, somebody asked me a question yesterday on Instagram, and it was such a beautiful question. God, I forgot what the question was because I forget everything now. But I remember one of the tools that I use all the time, even on this trip, I've been doing it, is if I were no longer on the planet, right? If I was gone, if I was dead, and I was looking down at Lori, or I was looking down, and this does not make any of life easier. I'm not saying that. I'm not bypassing. Trust me. No. But if I do this as often as I can now because it brings me into presence, right? It gives me gratitude no matter what. It allows me to be in the pain or in the abandonment or in the fear or in the sadness or I can be in it more presently when I do these things. And one of them is I imagine I'm dead and I imagine I'm looking down at myself and I imagine I'm talking to God or Jesus or whoever I confront as a soul up there. And I'm looking down, just kind of watching, and I'm looking at what I worried about, and I'm looking at what I was afraid of, and I'm looking at how I wasn't present during this time and how I was and I bring awareness to that moment as often as I can. Because when I can bring myself to that moment, it doesn't mean that I don't do the best that I mean, I can always do quote unquote kind of better, meaning like I could always there's always room for growth, right? But it gives me a perspective of, "This is a moment you'll never have again, Lori. No, this is a moment you're never gonna have again. This is a moment you're never gonna have again." Now, again, when you're in let's just say you're in LA or you're in Palestine or you're in these places in the world where you're going through a really challenging time. It's not necessarily an awareness you're gonna have. You're not gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, well, if I was dead and looking down at myself," maybe you will. Maybe it will help a little bit of a perspective shift, but it's allowed me, like, especially on this trip, to have gratitude for every moment of pain, every moment of joy, every moment of sadness, every moment of confusion, or all of it. I just start realizing that this moment's never gonna happen again. It's never gonna happen again. And this moment's not gonna happen again. And again, I don't know if this is something that's easy to do. I just know that it's something I've been practicing and it's really been helping me. The other thing that I've been doing lately, the last 3 weeks, is I don't need to have the answer. There's no perfect way of doing it. There's no like, you know, it's not black or white in life. It's just not, right? So you I think what is the most precious gift of all in this human experience and in this evolution that we're going through is not trying to perfect it, but letting it get real messy. Not having to continue to have deeper awarenesses and more expanded states and like, we try so hard in any subject, in any group, in any system. Whether it's, the school system you're in or a family system you're in or a relationship system you're in or the spiritual system that you're in or the health system you're in, it doesn't matter. Whatever system we find ourselves in, we're always trying to get to the highest place of it, the best place, the smartest place, the no fuck up place, excuse my language, right? Like as if that's the goal. It's not. The goal of this entire experience is to recognize that you're in the experience while you simultaneously unpeel and unpack all of what you're in. Like, holy cow, all these things are happening. It's getting louder and louder on the planet. There's a bazillion different energy updates you can listen to. There's a different bazillion different astrology updates you can listen to if you're into that, or tarot that you could listen to. There's a bazillion different news channels you can listen to, or alternative news that you can. I mean, you can go anywhere at any time and receive information on how you can learn more, or hear more, or heal more, or it's nonstop right now. Thank you, Pia, for that super chat. It's nonstop. And the fortunate thing is that, wow, we get to, there's just so much that we're exploring and so much that we continue to unravel. The unfortunate piece is that it pulls us away from the most miraculous, mysterious, magical reason and part of all of this, which is, holy shit, I'm having a human experience. Like I'm in a human experience. Like I'm doing a I'm doing human. And I am really believing that it's me, and I am really trying to freaking perfect it or figure it out or get rid of something or whatever it is that we're doing. What I've been noticing more and more in my life is how it's becoming more and more simple, grounded, embodied, still, and simple. I mean, I wrote a very complex quantum, like incredible book, The Divine Design. Incredible book. I think it's going to be a Bible for humanity's evolution for hundreds of years, to be honest with you. If I must say so myself, I do. I think it's a Bible for how we all got here. It's also extremely complex and quantum. And at this point in my human experience, I just want to be more simple. I want to be more still. I want to be more present with God. I want to let life rattle me and shake me and move me. I don't want to find out what's going on in the world and all the corruption and all the things that I need to be aware of. I don't want to know about the deep state and the Illuminati and the alien invasions, and I don't care. I want to soak up this human experience. I want to watch myself go through this evolution. I want to watch myself break down every hour. And I want to watch myself receive miracles from Jesus every day. I want to look at how simple life is and how magical it is in that simplicity. I want to start praying more and more for everyone. I don't need to get complex and quantum in order to actually understand the miracle of this human life. I don't need to get caught up. It's not the direction I'm going. The direction I find myself going in is absolute simplicity and stillness. And in that, I am blown away by how I continue to break down, how I continue to go up and down on throughout the day, grounded, ungrounded, aligned, unaligned, connected, not connected, clear, not clear, all of it. And that's the human experience. Not I gotta, if I'm not in some sort of positive, elevated state, then I need to get there. Then there's something wrong with me. But instead, just being like, wow, right now I have anxiety. Wow, right now I'm depressed. Wow, right now I feel so lonely. Wow, right now I'm in a massive amount of lack in my thoughts. Wow, right now I'm comparing myself to all these other people. Wow, right, right. And in the wow, look at what I'm in right now, the intensity of the human experience is mind blowing. That's why it's so difficult to be here because it is so intense. And by the way, the more as the frequency on the planet continues to increase, so too is your intensification of experience. So as the vibration and frequency on the planet and in your body increases, not because you're doing it, but because it's just naturally happening, you're going to experience everything more intensely and more intensely and more intensely. So every emotion is going to feel like it's 10 times more intense. Every thought's going to get louder, right? You're going to realize that you're in your mind and then you're in your body and then you're in somebody else's mind and somebody else's body and then you're 2 seconds later you're in some other freaking experience and then an hour later it's an absolute quantum chaotic uh, cosmic energetic experience that you're not in control of that's going to get more and more intense. It's energy, right? It's a flow state of energy that will drive you. crazy because we're on a planet that wants to hold the security guard thing on the roller coaster. It's just a wild moment. It's a wild moment. And, if gosh, there's just so much that I would recommend or suggest, um, right now. I would encourage you to try not to beat yourself up, you know? There's so much around you and around me. There's so much swirling around us. So much information, people, thoughts, entities, um, poisons. I don't know. So much, so much, and it's impossible to not judge ourselves. It's impossible for it not to impact us and make us feel certain ways about ourselves. But it's not real. It's not who we are. So the more that you can try not to beat yourself up and practice that, which is compassion for yourself, the better you'll be. Compassion for yourself. I mean, it's one of my number one go tos in the last 5 years. It's compassion. It's a tool that is necessary every hour of the day of the week, every month, and every year. It's compassion for yourself so that you can then have compassion for others. Probably the hardest thing one of the hardest things we'll do is have compassion for ourselves, which is mind blowing, mind boggling. Like, you get out of the human experience, you're looking down, you're having coffee with Jesus or God or your angels or your guides that were with you the whole time, and you're sipping on your coffee or your tea, and you're looking down and watching your whole life, and you're saying, "Geez, man, how could I not have loved myself? How could I not have been compassionate?" Right? How could I not have forgiven this person? Or how could I not have given this person money when they asked just because I was so afraid I wasn't going to have enough? Or how did I walk past that homeless person and not help them? Or how did you start looking down, it's just like mind blowing how we live. And yet, even in that awareness, we still have compassion for ourselves, right? Even in that awareness, there's a state of compassion that you have to hold for being human. But the fact that one of the hardest things that we'll ever do is have compassion for ourselves. Because, by the way, ps.com, it's not your fault you're in the human experience. It's not your fault that all these things happened to you. It's not, I mean, you could say, yes, you had free will. So you chose to come in, you chose your Akashic record, chose your contracts, you chose these core experiences that you were going to have and that you were going to work through, like abandonment, etc. Sure, of course, but once you jump in and you're on that roller coaster, you're in the human experience. It's all, good luck. That's why there's an Akashic record, is because it keeps you somewhat in a path. That's a big piece of why we have an Akashic record, is because it is so chaotic on the planet when you jump in that, you need some sort of guide, guidebook that will keep you on track, so to speak, right? Um, but outside of the Akashic record, and you're on a wild ride, and we beat ourselves up and we get upset with ourselves, and we think we have to go to some 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D place. We feel like, I mean, it's nuts. It's like, dude, just be human. Like, stop trying to get to any sort of anything. Just how about you just have compassion for yourself and stop trying to get somewhere else? Just do that. How about you do that, right? How about you have a little more kindness for yourself and others? Try that. How about, and you don't need to, by the way, ps.comcom, you don't actually need to raise your vibration to have compassion and to have kindness and to be present. right? And to remember what you're doing here and to start to call God into your life more and more, whatever you think God is. You don't need to raise your vibration for that. You don't need to move into some sort of new earth place or, like, and I'm just speaking to the spiritual community because that's like what filters through my feed a lot. Um, although I've been deleting all that stuff because it's just so distracting. Anything that's trying to get you somewhere other than where you are, you wanna question at this point in the game. It's gonna exhaust you, it's gonna create judgment, it's gonna make you feel insecure, it's gonna create anxiety, it's gonna create fear. Anything that's trying to pull you out of just being right here, embodiment, stillness, um, let me listen to you. Tell me your problems. No, 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 you can't talk about your problems. You got to positive think your way. No, I want to hear all the things you're worried about. I would love to hear all the anxiety that you're feeling right now. Please tell me. Welcome to the human experience, right? Like, yeah, it's not you. It's not me. At some point, we're not going to be here anymore. And we're going to look down and be like, dude, that was wild. Not like, dude, did you get to 5D? The evolution in human consciousness is happening whether you want it to happen or not, no matter what you do. It's true. It truly is true. It's a shift in frequency that you're not in charge of. No one is. It's just happening. And you'll find yourself in new ways and new places and new states and new everything every day. 6 months from now, 6 years from now, 16 years from now, you're going to be in a completely different place. Not solely because you got yourself there, but because there is a massive shift in frequency happening on the planet. And the more that we can just relax into this game more and more and say, all right, you know what? I'm going to try to freaking have fun with this and stop trying to get somewhere. You'll save yourself a shit ton of money. Sorry, but you will. I mean, the most potent, miraculous, powerful, peaceful place you could be is just present. And that's the hardest place for most of us to be. The other day, I wanna share an experience. How much time do I have? The other day, I don't know, I've been going through a lot of ups and downs, like intense ups and downs. Like, I feel like I've been on the colossal ride in Magic Mountain in California, like the highest high and then drop and then up and then down, and it's like, I'm gonna vomit pretty soon. Like, am I like, I can't keep doing the up and the down and the up and the down. It's like, God help me. But the other day, I got rattled into the deepest core feeling of abandonment. So abandonment is one of my, like, core experiences that I've had most of my life, and something triggered it, and I was so present with the feeling of abandonment to such a degree, I couldn't have it couldn't have been any more palpable. And if you've ever felt abandonment, it's a very scary feeling. You feel like you're gonna die. You feel like you're it's like you're trying to grasp for anything. It's almost like you're drowning in the deep end and you don't know how to swim. It's that kind of it's a panic. It's a panic, it's an anxiety. You're it's freaky. It's Anyway, I don't really know how to describe it, but anyway, this thing triggered it and I dropped so deep. And I remember sitting on the couch and I just said, I remember saying to myself, don't leave this place. Don't leave this moment. Because what happens to us is that when we get triggered into a real core wound, okay, whether it is loneliness, unworthiness, insecurity, abandonment, um, fear, some sort of, well, they're all fears, but a core wound. When you are gifted an opportunity to really drop into it, it and what we typically will do is we'll feel it a little bit, but then we'll distract ourselves, or we'll do anything to kind of move out of it. We'll feel it, we'll recognize it, we'll be able to label it, but we'll try to figure out a way quickly to get out of it. It's very unconscious. Um, Sometimes we'll sit with it and we'll talk with people, but it's watered down. If you talk about it with someone, it's watered down. If you journal about it, it's watered down. It's not bad to do those things, but it's still watered down. The moment you feel that trigger, somebody does something or something happens externally, and boom, you're dropped into that core place and you sit. You're just like, oh, oh God, don't go, don't go, don't go, don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. Sit with it, sit with it, sit with it. Don't go anywhere. I did that. And all of a sudden, you guys know, well, if you don't know, you'll know now. I've been connecting with Jesus in ways that I never thought I would, or understood I would, or could comprehend. Didn't know that was coming, didn't know this was what was happening in my life, but there is a relationship that I have formed with Jesus that is indescribable. So the trigger got hit. I stopped and I just said, stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. Just stay with it. Don't get up. Don't go sit somewhere. Don't go to get a glass of water. Don't, no. And I heard Jesus come in and he said, stay with this. Stay with me. You're safe. Stay. You're safe. Stay. You're safe. Stay right here. It was like he was just right here. Every time Jesus comes in, he's like right here. He's just like, stay with this. And the second I felt him, I knew I was safe to be in that abandonment feeling. I knew I could be in it because I wasn't alone. And I didn't feel alone. And as soon as I relaxed into knowing I could be in this because I wasn't alone, I got this hit to text my mom. So my mom, God bless her, is why I have the abandonment when I was 6. And we've talked about it many, many times, but we never actually healed it. And after Jesus came in and I was like gutturally, like in the deepest abandonment moment of my life, I got this hit. I heard Jesus say, text your mom. And it was 3:30 or 4 a.m. for her in California. 3-ish for me, and 3 after in the afternoon. So I just randomly was like, she's gonna be sleeping, but I was like, hey mom, I could really use someone to talk to. If for some strange reason you get this message. Like less than 5 minutes. I'm not even kidding. I get this bing on my phone. And I look down and it's my mom and she's calling. And I'm like, holy shit. This is the wild. And she's like, she's like, hi, I was just walking back. I woke up to go to the bathroom and I was just walking back and I saw that you texted 4 in the morning, right at the moment she was walking back to her bed. And so anyway, a long story short, because I only have a few minutes left, we sat and I was telling her what was happening and, really talking about this abandonment wound. And both of us knew it was because of when she left when I was 6, because she just couldn't handle what she was in. And, God bless her, she did the best. She did what she could do. Thank you, Ziggy Stardust. And she says, I need to just say, I'm so sorry for what I did. And there have been times where my mom has brought it up before and I've been very resistant. I don't want to go there, fine, whatever. And I get annoyed or whatever. And I felt Jesus come in during this conversation. He was just right here. And she said, I need to apologize. And she was so soft when she was sharing it and so open. And I just broke down. You know that crying where you can't even breathe? That's the crying I was doing, and she started crying because she was just authentically, vulnerably, open-heartedly just speaking and sharing, and I felt Jesus saying, "I'm healing you, I'm healing you, keep feeling. I'm healing you, keep feeling. I'm healing. I'm healing you guys." And so I knew in that moment there was something so beautiful happening with both of us. There was this alchemical healing that was happening. And both of us just we were so open and we were so vulnerable and we were just in whatever that was. And 10, 15 minutes later, I was like, "Mom, can you feel that healing that just happened?" She said, "Yes." Like, "Holy shit, like, what was that?" And I said, "That was Jesus." I was like, "Jesus just like, he just healed this, this thing we had our whole lives." She's like, "What?" She felt like something had been lifted, like a weight had been lifted for the first time in her whole life because of this, and same with me. And she goes, "Holy cow, I felt a mi" she 'cause I've been telling her about these miracles I've been having, and she goes, "Oh my god, this is a miracle. This is the miracle you've been talking about with Jesus." And I said, "Yeah, these are the miracles that he does." Granted, she had to pick up the phone. It was this magical moment. It happened, but it would not have happened without Jesus being there and saying, "Drop in, do this, do that." And he held it when you feel the power and energy of Jesus when he comes in to heal or to hold space or to do whatever, it's like nothing I've ever felt before. People have asked me as of late, because I've been talking about Jesus lately, how come he's more powerful than like a Mother Mary or a Mary Magdalene or an archangel? And I said, he's not more powerful. It's just for me personally, it's something I've never experienced in my life, ever. There's nothing more potent than his energy. And I've been everywhere in this universe. I've been on every spaceship. I've connected with s- probably 40 different types of galactic beings. I used to take people on journeys to sit with galactic beings. You know, I'm an expert at all of this, and there has been nothing that compares to his energy. And anyway, long story short, my mom was able to, she really was in awe of this miracle that you can feel a miracle when it happens. All right. It was just gone, lifted. And the whole time her and I were sitting there and I was crying and she was crying, I could feel Jesus saying, "I'm healing you too. I'm healing you. Keep going. I'm healing you." And I'm sure for a lot of people right now, if you're triggered by the word Jesus and you're triggered by this story, I get it. I've been there. I was there 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years. I get it. But I also know what's happening and I also know what I'm experiencing. And I also can't not talk about it. I can't not share it because I have this feeling now in me. I have this almost like it's almost like I feel indebted. Like if I what has happened to me in my life in the last couple of months, the healings, the miraculous things that have happened in my life, if I don't share it, then I'm not, it's like I owe it. You know, like I have to. It's like, all right, thank you. Now I will share and I will do everything I can to try to help people get out of suffering. And I remember, for those of you that were with me in March of 2023, I was outside of Dublin, Ireland, doing an event, um, for my book tour, and I was at this, what's it called where nuns live? Convent. It's a closed convent, it's not open any longer, and I saw the statue of Jesus for one of probably the first time in my life. I had never seen one of those, like, really big statues of Jesus on the cross. Again, I wasn't ever religious. I didn't go to church. I didn't do any of that, right? But I remember, and I'll never forget this, it's on video. The videographer, Joey, was with me and he had it on video. I remember stopping in my tracks and feeling Jesus. And I was drawn to go out and stand in front of the cross. And I remember him coming in that moment. I was bawling because I felt his energy. And I remember him saying to me, "Don't waste." Gosh, if anybody remembers what this statement was, to remind me, but it was something to the effect of, "Don't waste another day, like, not opening humanity's hearts," or something like that. Like, does anybody remember, like, what it was? That statement he said, "Don't waste another day not opening humanity's hearts," or it oh, man, I always forget the statement, but I'll never forget that. That was the first moment that I really came in contact with him and his energy. Um, yeah, it was about suffering, humanity's suffering. Like, don't don't let another day of like, oh man. But it had to do with humanity's suffering and how we are here to open the hearts of humanity to end suffering. Like, that's the whole purpose we're here, right? Is like, how can I relieve the suffering of someone? Um, I can't remember. Anyway, that that was when I realized what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I wanted to help humans get out of suffering. And 2 years later, what is it right now? 2020, almost 2 years later, I'm coming into that realization that that is really what matters most, is how can I relieve my own suffering by putting my hands up on the roller coaster ride, and how can I help humanity end their own suffering? And I think that's the work of Jesus. I think that's the work of Christ consciousness, and we can't do it on our own. And that's one of the most humbling parts of this entire experience for myself as of late, is that, holy shit, I'm not in control and I can't do this on my own. I couldn't sit in that abandonment on my own. I would have tried to figure it out, navigate it, call someone, you know, the only reason I was able to sit in that and have that miracle is because I felt Jesus come in and I felt his presence and I didn't feel alone. I didn't call him in. I didn't call in archangels. I didn't call in, guides. I didn't call that. And I didn't call anything in. I felt Jesus come in. And so I got to go. I got to close this up. But what I would recommend, if this is resonating with any of you, is to just start opening up to, like, you guys know me. I'm not a religious person. It's just not my forte. But we need help. So if you're feeling called to just sort of start opening up to, like, well, maybe there are miracles waiting with God and Jesus, try it. The other thing I would recommend right now is just have the analogy of letting go more and more. What happens if I did let go? What's the biggest fear I have if I just kind of stop trying to control everything and hand it over? And the third thing is that use the awareness of, like, if I'm gone and I'm looking down at my life, you know, now, how would I see what I'm in right now? Where's the gratitude in what I'm in and what I have, what I'm looking out at, instead of being a Debbie Downer about it all, right? Like, this sucks. I shouldn't be here. This is lame. This person's doing this, or I feel like this. Lift your head up for a moment and say, holy shit, I'm in this human experience and I'm in this house, or I'm in this room, or I'm with these people. I don't know, whatever it is, but lift up and say, wow, this moment is going to end at any moment. Oh, it just ended. Now there's another moment. Oh, it just ended. Okay. I gotta go. I have a call right now. I love you guys. Thank you for being here and having tea time with me, or coffee time with me, or breakfast, lunch, or dinner with me. Pass this video along to somebody that may need to hear it. Your mom, your grandma, your grandfather, your aunt, your uncle, your friend, your brother, your son, your daughter, your nephew, your niece, your teacher. I don't know. Pass it along. We need to chill on the perfecting the human experience. I love you guys. I'll see you next week at some point. I don't know what day I'll be doing my next untangle, but stay tuned. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Mwah.